What is up, guys? This is Sabin Kenobi coming at you with more platinums that I have earned. I recently achieved my 40th platinum, which we're almost there, and just wanted to share my road that took me all that way. I'm using a website called Listall. If you want to check it out, it's pretty cool. You can keep track of the games you've played, games you own. You can make custom lists, which is what I've done to keep track of my platinums. Going through, showing when I completed them, the percentage at which they were at the time I got them, or the time I was checking them when the PS4 started doing that, as well as what was the hardest trophy for me. So, not the hardest trophy necessarily in the game, but maybe also the most annoying. That is completely subjective. So we ended with 20 at the last video. We're halfway there, and I now am going to get into the PS4 and the PlayStation Vita. So that's going to be good fun. So let's get started. My first PS4 Platinum was Infamous Second Son. Like I said before, Infamous 2 is probably hands down my favorite PS3 game, so I was really excited to play this. It doesn't replace Infamous 2, but it also did not disappoint. Hardest trophy for me, again, not really hardest, just most annoying, was collecting all blast shards, but a fun game overall. And then I immediately also was playing at the same time Ratchet and Clank Remake on PlayStation 4, and this did have a different trophy set than Ratchet and Clank Collection for PS3. So kudos to them for not just copy pasting, but at the same time, the hardest trophy became harder. The hardest trophy for me in Ratchet and Clank was getting the time, a minute 35 hoverboard race on Rilgar, and now they upped the ante. They did I love this, Go Speed Ratchet Go, which for those of you who don't know is a Speed Racer reference. It was win the Gold Cup on both Ralgar and Kalibo, so more hoverboard fun for those of you who enjoyed that. Next, so Guacamelee is an amazing Metroidvania game. I like Metroidvania games. I don't always love them, but when I really like a game, I really like some of them. Castlevania Symphony of the Night comes to mind. But anyway, I played this on my PlayStation Vita, so I kind of make a note of that because I was like, I'm proud that this is my first PlayStation Vita Platinum. And then I realized Guacamelee is available on PlayStation 3 and 4, I believe. And so technically not an exclusive Platinum, but still earned on the Vita. And again, there's some hard trophies in this. Collecting every chest in the game, there is some crazy hard platforming spots in this game that are optional. So in order to complete the story, the game's not too difficult. I would say it's up there. It is not a cakewalk, but some of the optional areas were ridiculously hard, and it makes you all the more proud when you complete them. So great game. And then I was always told before I even got a PS4 that Infamous Second Son is not as good as the DLC, standalone DLC. I don't think you need to own Second Son. You can just buy Infamous First Light. It's about one of the characters that you meet in Infamous Second Son, but you don't have to. People said buy it First Light. Don't even bother playing Second Son. And First Light is a better game. Second Son is a bigger game. I think you should play both, but I understand the point. Anyway, not a long trophy list, but completing all the challenges was kind of a pain that kept me coming back for more until I finally got that one. Back to the PlayStation Vita, Tearaway is a great showcase of what the Vita can do and what the Vita should have become for a lot of developers. Tearaway uses every functionality of the Vita and does it well. It doesn't feel cheesy or forced, but it was a great game. Again, it was later ported to the PlayStation 4, so it kind of took away from the fact that, oh, now I have a PlayStation Vita only Platinum. It is ported, so I was a little bummed about that. But the hardest trophy by far is Grand Tier. It's only a silver. I think it should be a gold. I think it should be a platinum on its own. You have to finish a level called Tear without losing your stamp, meaning you can't fall. And this level is such a pain. I can't count how many times I had to go back and try it, which just made it all the more satisfying when I finally earned it. You see that trophy pop, and then you see your platinum. It was just great, but great game. Final Fantasy Type 0. Not a super popular Final Fantasy title. This game was interesting to me just because when Final Fantasy 13 was first announced for the PlayStation 3 way back in the day, before it was even released, when they announced it, they said that they were going to create 3 Final Fantasy games within the same world, but not with the same characters. So Final Fantasy 13 was announced with Lightning as the main character, and then they were going to make 2 other games in the same world, but not about Lightning. Final Fantasy 13 Versus became Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 13 Versus had Noctis in the trailers, which was cool. So they switched that one to 15, so that's where we got that one. And then the third Final Fantasy 13 game, again, in the same world but not about Lightning, was called Final Fantasy Agito, and that was a PSP exclusive in Japan. Never came to the States until this. This is Final Fantasy Agito. They renamed it Final Fantasy Type 0 HD. I don't know why. There's really no reference to that in the game. They HD up the graphics quite a bit. It looks way better than a PSP game should. And I actually really enjoyed this game. I recommend it for Final Fantasy fans and veterans, not for beginners. It's very different, and it makes a lot of references to the other Final Fantasy games. Any Final Fantasy game with a Final Fantasy VI reference is thumbs up, A-OK in my book. You get, I don't want to spoil it, but you get an airship at one point called the Setzer, and there's a note from him, which is from Final Fantasy VI. But anyway, probably not the... It's not even a hard trophy, but it was probably the hardest trophy, if that makes any sense. Completing a mission with just one character, it's not overly hard when you have chapter select after the fact. So you can go back and play the first mission by yourself pretty easily. And then right after that was Final Fantasy 15, another Final Fantasy game. So again, this was originally Final Fantasy 13 Versus. Go put that in your search bar and watch some of the early trailers with Noctis. It was interesting how this game evolved. But great game. I really enjoyed it. It's very different. For those of us who grew up on Final Fantasy 1 and beyond, man, they've really departed from the original turn-based, all that jazz. But the hardest trophy is not so hard anymore. They actually patched the game and made this a lot easier. Defeating the Adamantoise he is literally the size of a mountain in this game. It's really cool. It's a cool fight, but they, not to spoil it if you don't want to know, but basically there's a way to instant death the Adamantoise. I won't tell you how, but it's not that hard to figure out even without Google. You can figure it out. And they made him more susceptible to it, I think is what they patched. Originally, this fight took hours. Now you can just instant death it. It still takes a little while because he still has a high resistance to instant death, so you might have to do it many, many, many times, but it doesn't take hours. So, yeah, there's that one. And then, man, I never would have thought that they would have come out with a Spyro collection on PS4 with HD graphics. It's a beautiful game now, but the Spyro Trilogy is just great. I enjoyed playing these, and so did my kids, who didn't grow up on them. I did. They were just great. Hardest trophy is I'm in the money. you're unlocking Ganasty's loot. And yes, I say it that way because that's the way we said it back when Spyro came out the first time. Ganasty Ganork. And you have to 100% the games. You have to find every gem in every level in every world, which we did back in the day anyway, so this wasn't a hard trophy for me. Pure nostalgia. Spyro 2, Ripto's Rage, also platinumed. This one was almost 10%. I'm surprised this goes down. Although it might be a little harder. Again, hardest trophy, He's on Fire, unlock the permanent Super Flame. You only do that by 100%ing the game. So again, finding every gem in every level, I think, is the most time consuming, but there's something about the Spyro games, man. They are just so much fun to collect everything. Like, it's not a bother. And then, yes, I platinumed all three. Spyro Year of the Dragon is Spyro 3. This one, not as hard. You do not have to 100% this game to get the platinum. In fact, I told myself I'd go back and get 100% of the gems just to say I did. And there's some really annoying levels, and I went, you know what? I don't have to do it, so I'm not gonna. Most annoying trophy, a sarcophagus kind of guy. It's only a bronze, but in the Haunted Tomb, defeating all the sarcophagi, you can't just destroy them yourself. You have to pick up bombs and stuff, so it was kind of annoying. Not overly difficult, but annoying for sure. So that is it for this 10 platinums that I've earned. So this was 20 through 30 here. I'll make one more video to show you my most recent 10 platinums and my road to number 40, which I'm very proud of, number 40. So hopefully you can stay tuned and keep an eye on when I make the last video of this kind of ongoing thing of platinums and the road to 40s. So thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.